Radha Madhava ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So I was asked to speak again, and I was thinking how in Bhagavad-Gita it says you can only recognize a fool when he opens his mouth. Now I don't mind being recognized as a fool. I gladly take up that role for, if it's to please the Vaishnavas and my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada and their lordships. But I do fear that I will do injustice to this most elevated and sublime message, and therefore I pray for your blessings of the senior Vaishnavis, that I can repeat a little something that I've heard and read from Srila Prabhupada and his loving disciples, our dear gurus, so far. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, verse number 10. Atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvam arasi yovagraho hamameti yatasmin yojitastvaya atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvam arasi yovagraho hamametit yatasmin yojitastvaya atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvam arasi yovagraho hamametit yatasmin yojitastvaya. Please chant. Atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvam arasi yovagraho hamameti yatasmin yojitastvaya. Atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvam arasi yovagraho hamameti yatasmin yojitastvaya. Atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvam arasi yovagraho hamameti yatasmin yojitastvaya. Ata. Now. Me. My. Deva. O Lord. Samoham. Delusion. Apakrashtum. To dispel. Tvam. You. Arasi. Be pleased. Ya. Which. Avagraha. Misconception. Aham. I. Mama. Mine. Iti. Thus. Iti. Thus. Etasmin. In this. Yojitaha. Engaged. Tvaya. By you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. Purport. The false ego of identifying one's body as oneself and of claiming things possessed in relationship with this body is called Maya. In Bhagavad-Gita, 15th chapter, the Lord says, "I'm sitting in everyone's heart, and from me come everyone's remembrance and forgetfulness." Devahuti has stated that false identification of the body with the self and attachment for possessions in relation to the body are also under the direction of the Lord. Does this mean that the Lord discriminates by engaging one in his devotional service and another in sense gratification? If that were true, it would be an incongruity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but that is not the actual fact. As soon as the living entity forgets his real constitutional position of eternal servitorship to the Lord and wants instead to enjoy himself by sense gratification, he is captured by Maya. This capture by Maya is the consciousness of false identification with the body and attachment for the possessions of the body. These are the activities of Maya, and since Maya is also an agent of the Lord, it is indirectly the action of the Lord. The Lord is merciful. If anyone wants to forget him and enjoy this material world, he gives him full facility, not directly, but through the agency of his material potency. Therefore, since the material potency is the Lord's energy, indirectly it is the Lord who gives the facility to forget him. Devahuti therefore said, "My engagement in sense gratification was also due to you. Now kindly get me free from this entanglement." By the grace of the Lord, one is allowed to enjoy this material world. But when one is disgusted with material enjoyment and is frustrated, and when one sincerely surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, then the Lord is so kind that he frees one from entanglement. Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad-Gita, "First of all surrender, and then I will take charge of you and free you from all reactions of sinful activities." Sinful activities are those activities performed in forgetfulness of our relationship with the Lord. In this material world, activities for material enjoyment, which are considered to be pious, are also sinful. For example, one sometimes gives something in charity to a needy person with a view to getting back the money 4 times increased. Giving with the purpose of gaining something is called charity in the mode of passion. Everything done here is done in the modes of material nature, and therefore all activities but service to the Lord are sinful. Because of sinful activities, we become attracted by the illusion of material attachment, and we think, "I am this body." I think of the body as myself and of bodily possessions as mine. Devahuti requested Lord Kapila to free her from that entanglement of false identification and false possession. So chant the verse again. Atame deva samoham apakrashtum tvamarasi yavagraho hamametit yatasmin yojitas tvaya. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in the Vedic system, it was that a mother needed a son in order when her husband would leave to take Vanaprast or sannyas, then the mother would not be left alone. She would be protected and provided by the adult son, and in return she would help with the household. She would teach her daughter-in-law how to cook and how to take care of the children. Now, Devahuti only had daughters, and she wanted a son, and she got that son, but not for this purpose. Now, Kapila Deva is now going to speak the Sankhya philosophy to his mother, and then he also going to leave to give this knowledge to others, and she's going to be left alone, which for a woman in any stage of life, it's a very difficult thing to be left alone with her mind. And unless she's a pure devotee of the Lord, which Devahuti is about to become by the mercy of her husband, by the mercy of her son. So in the previous verses, the relationship between Kapila Deva and Devahuti was transformed and established. They went from being, her being the mother, him being the son, went from him being the guru and her being the student, the disciple. And now in this verse, it is starting finally. She is placing her problem in front of her guru. And Srila Prabhupada, in a lecture he gave in 1970 in Bombay, he gave a lecture on this particular verse. He said that this is why you go to Guru. This is the first thing you ask the Guru. She is asking her Guru to free her from her sense of false identification, which is aham, I am this, and from her sense of false possession, which is this is mine, mameti. We see in this verse, aham mameti, this is I am, this is mine, the mentality, the material mentality. Whenever Bhakticharu Swami would give a class on Sankhya philosophy, he would usually start it with naming two Vedic axioms. First being that the material world is a place of misery. And there are three types of miseries in the material world. Can you help me name them and find some examples? Yes, Adi-atmika meaning? Yes, so the own body and the own mind is giving us trouble. How can they give us trouble?
Feeling pain.
Feeling pain, yeah. The feeling and the pain. Both. Okay, so Adibhautika, meaning? Somebody knows?
Yeah, I say again, others give you problems, suffering.
Yes, others. Other living entities are the ones who are inflicting pain onto you. Now, any examples? How can other living entities inflict pain to us?
Expectations.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. If they have high expectations, it puts stress on us. True. Something else? Some other ideas?
Through arguments.
Dispute, arguments, yes.
Sessions.
True. We are just now, witnessing. There's a war in Ukraine, which is a, homo homini lupus situation, and. It's just like war or no war. We are all victims when we are trapped in the material energy. And we are all victims of the three klishas. We are all victims of our own lust and greed and anger. And, devotees there in Ukraine, they're very brave. Right now, they're going out, they're doing prasadam distribution to the victims and the needy. And this is the highest charity one can possibly do, in situations like this. They're continuing, the bombs are falling, the grenades are falling, but they're, they didn't hide in their bunkers, to protect their children and their property. They're out there and they are, playing the part of being a soldier for the Lord. So yeah. The third one, Adi Daivika, that means Deva, who is, yes, these are natural. COVID, that's a perfect example at this moment. True, yes, and other natural disturbances like tornadoes and droughts and things like this. problems. They're caused by the devas, by the demigods. So, the first Vedic axiom was that this material world is a place of misery, and the second one that the material body is a perfect instrument for receiving pain. Now, Prabhupada would give this as an example, and his followers often repeat it, that, if we take this little finger, and if we think of, so many ways that we can inflict pain to this little finger. We can cut it, we can burn it, we can, somebody can bite it off. So many ways to inflict pain. But, how many ways to get pleasure from this little finger? Not so many. So then, realizing this, it is a perfect starting point to start inquiring about spiritual reality. In the purport to the verse we read today, Srila Prabhupada is saying one needs to be disgusted with material enjoyment and frustrated. And one needs to sincerely surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is the platform, the starting point from where we start spiritual inquiry. And I want to save the sincerely surrender to a little bit later. I want to see how Devahuti, she was disgusted and frustrated with material enjoyment and with her material contamination, so to speak, with her sense of ahammamiti. And then she's actually saying that the Lord himself, he is directing this, her entanglement in the material world. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport is explaining this by quoting a verse from Bhagavad-Gita 15:15, which is the part of the verse goes Smata smritim jnanam apochanam cha. Smriti jnana apochanam. So from the Lord comes remembrance, from the Lord comes knowledge, and from the Lord comes forgetfulness of him. And then Prabhupada would say, this very important thing, which for me is the heart of the purport we just read. He says that all of this, so remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness, all of this is Krishna's mercy. This is his Lord. This is his mercy, the Lord's mercy. And for us, it's understanding how remembrance of Krishna is mercy. It's not so difficult to understand because it gives us pleasure when we remember Krishna, when we think about him, and how knowledge, attaining knowledge, is also pleasurable because it's a freeing process, it's a disentanglement process, gaining the spiritual knowledge. So, but how forgetfulness is the mercy of the Lord, it's a little bit more difficult to understand. Now, in the purport, this is also explained, but I think maybe you can, if somebody remembered or if somebody has their own realization of how forgetfulness of the Lord can be mercy, how can be manifested.
When we have the desire for material enjoyment,
yes,
the Lord is so merciful that he allows us to forget, he allows us to enjoy this material desires.
Yes, he allows that. He doesn't do it directly. He does it indirectly through his Maya, through his Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimha Ki. He does it through his external energy, but it's nevertheless, he is in the background. He is allowing us, and that's how his mercy is seen. So, the Lord's mercy can be bestowed upon us directly, as it was for Devahuti. Lord Kapila is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna says, we're just now reading the 10th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, in the verse 10:26, Krishna would say that all the perfected beings, he is Lord Kapila. So there you have the proof that Lord Kapila is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he can do it directly, as he did to Devahuti, as he did to Arjuna, as he did to Uddhava, or he can do it, like in our case, indirectly. So how does Lord indirectly bestow his mercy unto us? No, please, everybody feel free to speak. That's why it's all us ladies. so that we feel comfortable. You know? That I feel comfortable speaking like this. I wouldn't feel as comfortable if there were Prabhus present. That's true, and I invite you to feel comfortable as well to speak.
Indirectly mercy.
Yes. Through who? Through who do we get the Lord's? Yes, through our gurus. Through the Vaishnavas. Through the scriptures. Yes, through Srila Prabhupada's books. Through prasadam. True.
The holy name.
Yes, through chanting the holy name here. Thank you. So today is a special day. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. It's a day that it's called Shivaratri. And this is the day, every month is a Shivaratri, but today it's a special Shivaratri, which is called the Mahashivaratri, that only happens once a year. And it is the night, not the day, the night actually, Ratri means a night, when Lord Shiva was married to Mother Parvati. And Vaishnavas, we don't observe this much, but in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that, once in a while. And so once upon a time he's saying that, Danda Maharaj and the cowherd boys, they wanted to observe this festival, and so they went and observed it. And this festival is placed in between the Rasa Leela dance and the holy festival. So, and then Shiva is who? Srila Prabhupada taught us that Shiva is Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, that he is the greatest of all Vaishnavas, that he is the best of all devotees of Lord Vishnu. So, to illustrate the indirect mercy flowing from Lord Shiva, I want to share a personal story. When I was done with my Bhakti Shastri studies, that was 2016, in springtime when the Chandan Yatra starts, when all the gates in the Himalayas of the Himalayan temples open, I went on a pilgrimage to Chardam Yatra, which Chardam means 4 holy places, and this is a Choto Chardam Yatra. It's a small one. You have a big one that goes, around India, but the small one is 4 holy places in the Himalayas, and one of them being Kedarnath, which is a place of Lord Shiva. So to go there, you have to hike up for like 10 to 14 hours. You have to go up, So, and before going that out, I was a little, in the morning when we started walking, I was, a little bit, how to say, I didn't really know how to approach this holy place. Because Lord Shiva, the Vaishnavas don't see Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The scriptures do explain how he's same and different at the same time, but, what is my relation, what is my attitude, how am I supposed to approach? I didn't know. So then, as I was walking and the hours were passing, I found myself fasting and chanting and praying to the Lord that I could see beyond his ghastly appearance. And that if he so desires, that he can recommend me with his Lord and Master, who I'm aspiring, whose servant I'm aspiring to become. So, and then it took us many hours, like 14 hours to get up there. And then we didn't immediately go find a shelter and some food. We went for the darshan, immediately stood in line, and it was such a crowd. In India, crowds are like and you cannot use your own feet to walk. Actually, it lifts you up from the floor and just takes you. It's like a stream. So anyway, it took me like a stream to the temple, and the moment I stepped with one foot inside the temple, like the first miracle happened. I felt like, the crowd disappeared. It didn't, but it felt like I have space to walk and to breathe and to, have a proper darshan of Shiva Lingam that is there. And I found myself, I have just chanted 64 rounds. Just chanted. So I was like, wow. And I felt gratitude. And then I continued, I had darshan and everything. Back door, I went out, I had darshan of all the sadhus. And then we found a place to stay and something to eat. And then when the evening came, because where we were staying, there were no electricity, no heating. So when the evening came, there were bonfires outside. So I was sitting outside, warming my cold hands and my feet, just sitting. And then this family came. There was a mother, Indian body family. There was a mother and a father and a son. Son was like 12, 13 years, something. And then the second miracle happened. They sat beside me, and the father looked at me. I was in a sari and my tennis shoes. The father looked at me and he said, "Have you read Bhagavad-Gita?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Can you please tell my son, why do you like this book?" And I was like, "Yes, I can." And I just got a chance, in the place of Lord Shiva, I got a chance to glorify Lord Krishna. And this was, it was the second miracle. So then when the night fell, I went to sleep. And I got up very early in the morning. I was cold, so I took a quick shower and I went outside. And it was still night and nobody was there. I was alone and, I was covered with a blanket, my beads, and I was chanting japa. And I was chanting and chanting and chanting, and slowly the morning started coming. And I was looking at these peaks of the mountains, and it was like, it was like a picture of the Himalayas. And it was so close, there was like rocks on the top, and then some snow, and then rocks, where I was, there was no vegetation. So if I looked, way back, then there would be some greenery as well, but like this, it was, it was a beautiful sight. I was looking at it, and then the sun came. But I didn't see the sun, I just saw a reflection, like on one part of the mountain peak. There was a little bit, glittery. And then here, same thing. And then it came here and here and here. It was like a puzzle, all together, until everything was shining. And then the sun came up. And I just started crying. I mean, I paid my obeisances to Mahadev. I said, I know who you are now. I see what you're doing. I have no capacity to grasp it. But, the little spark you just sent my way, that just hit me, it's making my heart sing. And, this was my realization of, the greatness of the best of all the Vaishnavas, who is Lord Shiva, and who is celebrating his wedding night tonight. I promise that I will go back to the sincere surrender part of, the basic foundation of why we are approaching a guru or spiritual life. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is quoting a verse from Bhagavad-Gita, 1866. Is a very famous verse. If you know it, you can chant it with me. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. Yes. So it means that this is the conclusion of the Bhagavad-Gita, and Krishna is saying here, you just abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. Then I will free you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. He says, I will do it. And, also in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying how all the activities but service to the Lord are sinful. So, and this is, either pious or impious, bringing us material enjoyment, material happiness or distress, everything but something that is connected to the Lord is actually a sinful thing, because it's bounding us to the samsara, to the cycle of birth and death, repeated birth and death. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada is giving this story about a very poor brahmana who decided to pray to Lord Shiva, because he wanted a benediction, and Shiva, he is the best of all givers of benedictions, and he is very fast pleased. So this Brahmana, prayed to Lord Shiva, and when Lord Shiva appeared before him and asked him, what benediction do you want? This Brahmana said, I want the highest benediction of all. And then Lord Shiva said, well, then you go to Vrindavan and you find Sanatana Goswami. And he will give you the best benedictions of all. So this Brahmin went to Vrindavan and found Sanatana Goswami and told him, I prayed to Lord Shiva for a benediction and he sent me here. So I came to you because apparently you can give me the highest benediction of all. And Sanatana Goswami looked at him and he, could see through him, he could see that he has a little bit of still material attachment, material desire. He wants to be relieved of his miserly condition. And then he said there was a pile of garbage. And among this pile of garbage there was a stone called a touchstone. And this stone, if you put it near to the iron, it produces gold, as much gold as you want. So Sanatana Goswami said, you take the stone. Yeah. And Brahmin took the stone and went away and he started thinking okay, so if this stone that can produce gold is the highest benediction, then why would this sadhu keep it with the garbage, with the trash? And he went back and he asked Sanatana Goswami, why would you keep a stone like this in the trash if this is the highest benediction? And then Sanatana Goswami asked him, and this is the sincere surrender part. He asked him, are you ready to get the highest benediction? And Brahman said, yes. So then Sanatana Goswami said, you go to the river, throw the stone in the river and come back. So he went to the river, threw the stone in the river and came back. And then Sanatana Goswami initiated him in chanting the holy name. And this was the highest benediction one can get, chanting of the holy names. In the first verse of Shikshashtakam, Lord Sri Chaitanya's instructions, there is a line that goes Vidyavadu Jivanam, and it says that this Sankirtan Yagya, this chanting of the holy name, it is the life of all transcendental knowledge. And gaining approaching spiritual life and gaining spiritual wisdom, it brings us to what? It brings us to the sincere surrender, like this Brahmana did, He was disgusted and frustrated, and he sincerely surrendered. Devahuti did the same thing, and they came to this conclusion: I need to sincerely surrender to a higher authority, to the highest authority, and to the representative of the highest authority. So then, when we surrender, what should we do when we surrender? What is our, what should we do in our relationship to the Lord, to our Guru? What should we do? What do we have to do? We accept the Guru and then what?
We follow his teachings. We follow his teachings.
Follow his teachings, yes. His instructions, yes. Something else I'm looking for, it's true. Yeah, but something else I'm looking for, we should render. Service, we should serve, yes. And in this age, what is the best service we can possibly do? Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing us, in this age, the best service possible that we can do, for the whole of humanity and for ourselves, but that will, in the process, be diminished, eventually go away, is to congregationally chant the holy names of the Lord. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So on this note, I'm gonna finish, and I ask you if you have something to add or correct me on anything. If you have something to share, please do.
I will say thank you for your very nice lecture. It was clear. It was clear the essence in a clear, practical way.
Thank you. So,
Maybe I can ask you a question which came during the Guru Disciple class, and question is because I'm often talking to young devotees coming down to the ashram, and when they are looking.
Can I give you a microphone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shall I have it all?
You can give it then back to me.
It's also regarding how to choose a guru, and sometimes we talked in this class about the qualities a guru should have, the qualities a student should have, and the question and about to be humble and not to say my guru is the best or this guru is the best and he has the best disciple, so I choose this guru. And what I got to know is that sometimes, when we are so fresh in the movement, and we see all these expectations one has to bring for being initiated, and that we see as young devotees, or this for this student it's so much easier. He gets or she gets initiation so much faster, and she does not have to follow this or this class I have to do, and I have to study this, and this guru is expecting this for me. So how can we what can we give along those young devotees in the movement, to really trust in Krishna and trust in Srila Prabhupada and also the Guru Maharaj, and not to be not to choose a guru just because with this Guru Maharaj it's maybe easier to get initiated and faster, which I got to know, which is often a topic. And I was because I'm still young myself, but so I don't know often what to give for advice in this way.
Try to answer, and then maybe if some of the senior Vaishnavis also wanna. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Amrita Gopi asked the question. She's translating now. Übersetzung. Okay. So choosing a guru, it's a very serious thing, and it's compared to choosing a life partner, a husband or a wife. And for some people, it comes very fast and very naturally, and for some people, it is a lengthy and difficult process to actually choose. What I can tell you from my personal experience, it took me, quite some years to realize who my guru is, and how I realized it was that I loved hearing from him. And then how to avoid actually, this was part of the question, how to avoid thinking that my guru is, the all in all, is just to recognize, this is, and this is what my Guru Maharaj was teaching, is to recognize Srila Prabhupada's position. Because, yes. And if you recognize, Srila Prabhupada's position in our movement, then in no way, you will love your Guru, but in no way you will have the attitude, my Guru is the best. Because my Guru is a servant of his Guru, who is a servant of his Guru. Srila Prabhupada, he had the same mood. He also had the mood, I'm just the servant of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, I think, my question would be, you have to love to hear from that person, no matter how difficult. I'm the only disciple of my Guru Maharaj in my country, Slovenia. Yes. So, but somehow or other. Mataji, you want to say something on this regard?
This is a very nice sound, and sorry you gave it. Maybe I can also say something personal.
Okay, very nice answer. So it includes all. But yes, because to have a guru, to get a guru, is also something like Mataji said. You like hearing from. You hear to lectures, classes of different gurus, and then there will be one guru or two who really touch your heart. And for me, two things come up, and that is, you will ultimately Krishna. The first one is when you have this strong desire inside to get a guru, then Krishna will send him, but it has to be sincere and strong. Otherwise, you will wait because Krishna thinks she's not that far. But you have to be seriously like, oh, Krishna. In my case, it was like that. At a certain moment, I said, I'm reading, but I don't understand it. And I'm desperate. I need a guru, Prabhupada. I need a guru. So I was kind of desperate to have a guru. And then he came after 2 months. That's one thing, that is strong and sincere desire. And the other thing which came up in me is then Krishna will send a guru to you who connects with your mood. And I illustrate with myself. I have 2 daughters, okay? Grown-up daughters. And the eldest one who actually, Kirthi Kumari, would just drag me into this movement. My grandparents are from Rajasthan and I come from Holland, so we were westernized, you know. But she dragged me, she's also a disciple of Bhakti Swami. She dragged me into this movement, and she got a guru. When I met Bhakti Swami, His Holiness Bhakti Swami, I could so much understand the meditation mood. So he's our family guru, by the way. So I myself became a disciple of His Holiness Kadamba Swami, and I thought, oh, yes, my mood is like practical, and this, you know, it has a different mood. And my third daughter, Ananda Vrindavan, got another guru. You see, 3 of us different. Ananda Vrindavan is more very joyful, Harinam, on the books, all the kirtans, and she got Janananda Swami from Ireland, England. So Krishna will connect you when your desire is strong to a guru who has a kind of same mood you're aspiring for, something like that. And now I'm telling something from my personal experience.
So don't fight, try to search and look, and but this is the best thing. By listening, close is very important.
This way, what I
It's called desire tree. Google is called desire. See, you have all the gurus. You listen and you will go more like, oh.
I was just asking because, but I have my guru Maharaj,
Yes.
like there were like in like Catholics, people were like young not just coming to the ashram.
Yes.
And they were really into one guru, but then like this guru Maharaj,
She told them like, okay, I see like your sincerity, but I would like you to read this and this book, and you should do this and this. And then they immediately like said, okay, no, I think it's not my Guru Maharaj, and I will just look for something else. And I was like also explaining the same, but somehow I felt like my words are not like coming through. So.
And it's also more important what he also said, and I think
That's very important. Guru is guru, you know. This happens, even Prabhupada said, or I heard in so many lectures, this competition is going on all over the world like this. Are there not Swami, I have to be guru of this and that and that. And this is not the way we have to think about gurus, you know. There's not a shop and you just select something which is favorable to you. They're all servants of Prabhupada, all equal, having the same aim, servants. And as I said, it's the mood, and if Krishna so desire, you will get the guru, mostly according to your mood. It's not shopping. And Bhakti Swami was very strong. He was actually worshipping, he was a Prabhupada. Everybody's a Prabhupada man, but sometimes when I was with my daughter in Mayapur, she was a teacher there, so I often came, and then I once saw his room. It was wide open, and then how he was worshipping Srila Prabhupada every morning with red roses, red garlands. So amazing. Yes, and he never said, I'm the best, no. Although he was Prabhupada's right hand, the cook and Tamal Krishna Goswami are really right hands. He never propagated himself like that. He was the servant of Prabhupada. That's how we have to look to gurus, not he's famous or he's nice or he has thousands, 10,000. That's not the right motive.
Thank you. I wondered if you're Kirti Kumari's mother, because you have the same features as he. Yeah, I know her. Okay. Anybody else has something to share? You're good? Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for enlightening us.
Sharing this time. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Nice. Visual students. You can, all these young persons. It's nice how you can. Yes. Focus on the husbands, you know. So you back and teachers if you want to marry, if you want a husband, maybe you need a husband. So as you can tell, focus on Krishna, pray to Krishna, pray to Krishna, and tell Krishna to have a certain degree. I will Krishna consciousness and come to hold on my own. I really need a husband and children. I want to ask Krishna. So if you so desire, then yes, it is good to Krishna. Krishna desire, can you send me a husband? And I can ask them and tell Krishna that I will have a life in Krishna consciousness. So together we will come Krishna consciousness. And point is simply, if you know you have to have no, but because, yes, I understand, but Krishna consciousness is not a way of the only thing that changes is by using myself, by speaking, by acting, and it is but it's a job. That is job plus listening plus so the job. Yes. come here. I'm explaining some things to you which are also relevant and nice for you. Here, she's asking questions in general, which would also be really nice for you.